Chapter 66 to 68. The massive blue ball of ki in the middle didn't stop. Only until all of them stopped injecting ki into it did the swelling stop, bursting out like an explosion. All of the Scions were forced back from the massive explosion, landing on their butts. In Goku's case, undoing his transformation immediately. He got up feeling sore all across his body, from his tail to his hair. Man, that forceful exertion pushed my body to its limit. I can feel like I can last longer in that form, but until I achieve Super Saiyan 3 or raise my base in some other way, it will always be a finisher. Now that I think about it, we do have 5 Scions. Such a train of thought was dangerous. Dangerous to everyone around him, that is. He could only think about it later, when he spotted the good android 21 entering the broken lab. She had a painful but determined look on her face as her body disappeared within the confines of the building. Goku went to follow her despite his urgent need to rest. He reached into his pocket to fish out the last senzu that he had on him and gulped it whole. His stomach rumbled in a mix of content and dissatisfaction. The bean only recovered the soreness he was feeling across his body and replenished a small amount of ki. Man, that really took a toll on me. It was something interesting he found about senzu beans. It would be weird if they were an end-all-be-all bean that recovers any wound, be it inflicted by God or otherwise, while also recovering stamina. Goku found out that it uses most of its power to heal wounds on the surface, and any excess would be transferred into ki for the body. So if the person using it had major wounds from dark ki, it would heal everything, while leaving the small amount left to the user and vice versa. Still feeling a little limp, Goku walked through the door of the lab to find both Android 21s are facing each other. The evil 21 didn't look like the purple rag that she was before, but was transformed back into her pink state with a pale complexion. Evil 21 lashed out her hand towards the other 21 in a desperate attempt. The other May 21st had been weaker before. That was only relatively speaking. She is stronger than Yamcha, and that is what really matters. She blocked it with one hand. It felt like a feather hit her. When the good 21 entered the lab, Evil 21 was slurping on the rest of the ki reserves that her captives had. If the good 21 didn't enter in time, the other 21 would have sucked all of the reserves dry, effectively killing everyone captive. Nevertheless, the small reserves were for her to escape to the time machine while everyone was fighting Cell, not fight her counterpart. Surely going more back in time would work. Unfortunately for her, they were on the same wavelength, literally, getting her caught in the action. The good 21 pushed the arm back and jabbed the same shoulder. She lost all feeling on that arm immediately, and was followed up with a kick on her, opposing leg dislocating some bones. With no more ki and a battered body, she couldn't stand up. Goodbye. 21 clasped her hand on the forehead of the 21 on the ground. Covering her head with reddish ki, 21 created this technique just for this event. She just never thought that she was going to be able to use it and destroy her completely. Wait. A firm hand was placed on her shoulder telling her to stop. 21 looked behind her and Goku was shocked to see a tear form from the blind spot where he was standing. That confirmed his suspicion, and he asked in a grim voice. Killing her won't kill yourself, correct? There has to be another way. Android 21 shook her head. She wished Goku didn't follow her, so she can do this by herself. I found out the day when she time traveled. Our souls are linked. If I follow her through time without my own volition, I will also travel with her to the other world without it. I have accepted it as it is. No, that can't be right. When we came here, it seems as if you just separated from her. And you fought as if she was going to kill you. If your souls are linked, she wouldn't do that. 21 shook her head, once more explaining in detail. What she was planning to do was consume me. I had an active mind, sharing it with hers before I separated. If she consumed me, I would go into a deep sleep within her, resulting in me disappearing forever. Well, why don't you just consume her yourself? It started like this, no. I was in an even better position at the start. When I was born, her presence wasn't even there. As time flowed, her presence was becoming more and more known to my consciousness due to the unstable genes that I contain. If she wasn't there in the start but broke out at the end, what good would putting her back do? She will just awaken like last time and grow stronger. I am a failure of an android and should destroy myself. She was really going to do it. Years in the making, years of her dreaming to do this. It was only a step away, but at the same time hesitation crept her. Who would want to die? Maybe she wasn't as ready for this as she steeled herself for. It didn't help that Goku was still talking. 21, look at me. She turned her head and looked into the dark eyes of Goku. You think that your evil counterpart is unique? Something that you only have? Everyone has some evil in them wanting to get out. I mean, look at that guy over there with the mean face. Goku pointed at Vegeta, who was with the other Scions as they watched the spectacle. Vegeta had a vein pop from the top of his head, emphasizing Goku's point more. He was a cold villain once, and I bet he still has the urges he has to kill everyone around him. But he doesn't, he suppresses them. Maybe his doesn't materialize himself as an evil copy of himself screaming pride or whatever, but his is just as present. You are not that old, younger than 10, right? I think you just need to learn to live with her and control her. Live with her? But that's impossible. I just know that she will break free again. Why take that risk when I can eliminate it right here? Think about it. With your brain and power, you can do so much for the world. Is it that worth it to risk your evil self coming out, which would take a quick and fast *S beating from us, at the cost of helping everyone the best you can? She was stumped for words. She actually hadn't thought about a life without Evil 21 in a while. What she would do, what she will experience, how much she could accomplish. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Just take some time to think about it before you leap into action. 21 had some deep reflection and questions that she had to impose on herself. Can she really control her evil self? No. What would these scions know? They don't have a copy of themselves threaten to destroy the world. But at the same time, what if what they are saying is correct? She took a couple of minutes, as she should before she said her final answer. Goku held his breath. He really wanted 21 to continue surviving. It was really unfair to her to die because of a copycat. I will do it. Fuse with her, that is. But if it is what you really say, that there is evil and good in everyone, I can't consume her, it would counterintuitive. She would be suppressed a lot, but she will just break out. We need to become one entity again, like the beginning. But this time, accept her instead of letting her form a separate self. Combine us into one. We are too far from one another, even if we come from the same roots. Don't do it. We will become someone else entirely. Not me. Not you. We will lose ourselves entirely. So be it. We need a fresh start. You know what they say. New android, new me. With her hand still on the Evil 21's head, it shone a bright fluorescent red light illuminating the whole room. Hot steam came out of the pores of both 21's at an extremely high pressure, throwing Goku away from her and next to the group. Both of their bodies seemed to melt and started to rub against one another in pink blobs of goo. As they were watching, it was like watching two different colored gums squishing against each other trying to combine. Together, but still distinct. That changed when the steam started to pump out at full force from them. The steam smashed them together in extreme heat. The two gum were not getting chewed, combining with each other until they formed one color totally separate from what they originally were. A bright light emitted, blinding everyone in the lab. They all covered their eyes looking away. Hearing soft footsteps, after the lights turned down, they all turned back to look at what happened. Walking away from the bright with steam, still everywhere covering the silhouette of the female. Going through but not completely out of the smoke, was a curvaceous body pale to the touch. Green eyes looked back at them with red hair flowing around due to the steam. She had tiny amounts of freckles on her face, making her face subtly more gorgeous. She was looking a little antsy, not wanting to completely get out of the smoke. No glasses were seen to help her vision. Well, no clothes were seen either, as the smoke pointedly proved by removing itself from 21's top chest area, revealing the tops of two large marshmallows. Anyone got some clothes? Unfortunately, you, how should I say it? Don't quite technically have the same potential your children have. I don't? How does that work? Sitting in front of a giant old Namekian, Goku was confused as to what he was saying. Goku took this trip to Namek to hopefully have their potential unlocked before heading to Elder Kai for a more powerful version. His other two kids, who barely turned 9 a month after the 21 incident, have already had their potentials unlocked and had a major increase in their power. Speaking of Android 21, I wonder what she is doing right now. After equipping herself with clothes, 21, who was a different beast than before, talked about how she needed some isolation to acclimate to her new personality. Goku didn't really think it was the best method, since this type of environment, as part of her inner evil coming out. But with her several persistent pleads, Goku couldn't really stop her. He never saw her since, and continued his training, really emphasizing his kid's growth. Before he got started with the God transformation ritual, he wanted to increase his base further. If the Super Ape form was any indicator, it was that he needed his base form to get stronger. Unlocking his potential will kill two birds with one stone, get his base stronger, and get a new transformation. Nevertheless, he was confused as to why his plan that he laid ahead of himself didn't work. How should I put it? In its rawest form, the potential I see in some people is a sort of hidden power deep within that I could then rise to the surface through a special method. Although I can't bring all of it, you need to have some for it works. Potential usually reside in people that destined to be stronger in the future if they don't die. That is not the case for you. Goku nodded his head for him to continue, but he was already slowly piecing what the old Namekian was saying. In your case, you already unlocked your potential since your youth, and that helped accelerate your growth. But it wasn't the case for all of your strength. If young you and your children were at the same age and did the same training for a year, who do you think would be stronger? Your children gained enormous potential since you. A powerful being is their father. With your low potential, you were able to continuously stimulate it by training arduously. If that's the case, wouldn't people like Vegeta, who also trains massively, catch up to me since he has more potential? Well, here's the thing. You unleashed your full potential already somehow, similar to what I did to Gohan and Bulla. If I unleash this so-called Vegeta, from your recollection, he would definitely have a slightly higher growth rate than you. So you are saying I already have my potential unlocked, and that my kids have a higher growth rate than me eventually going to outpower me? Heh, from what I can tell from your hard work and already big head start, I give them another 100 years until they do. They got what they came for, and boarded the ship they came in saying goodbye to Grand Elder Guru, and the rest of the Namekians they met on the way. Chi-Chi was acting as their personal chauffeur for the quick trip. Back home. Yeah. So bored. Is there anything fun to do around here? Stop moving your arm. We can go shopping after this if you want. I also found the best nail salon in the mall that has the best designs. Can't I just, destroy the shop and steal the clothes? It would be so much more fun that way. That's a joke, right? Bulma and 18 were talking together in their lab. Android 18 had her hand laid on the table with a panel wide open inside of a high-tech machine. Bulma was studying it in depth to see how Android works. Tech like this, if figured out, could revolutionize mankind. Eternal beauty, supercomputer minds. Anything was a possibility. 18 rolled her eyes. She suddenly had an idea that she definitely knew was a fun activity. How about inviting me to some of the nighttime activities that you girls and Goku do in the bedroom? She gave a suggestive smirk to Bulma, who had a welding helmet on. She couldn't see Bulma's exasperated eyes. Oh please. I know you have been pushing that agenda ever since 17 left. Ever since we fooled Caulifla with Goku, he hasn't let anything like that come out of his control again. The next thing he knows, random strangers would appear on his bed. 17 left soon after 16 has been rebuilt by Bulma. He wasn't too banged up, but with Bulma's insignificant knowledge, it took some time. When he awakened and inquired information about 21, he left the facility and ventured off to find her. 17, influenced by 16 and his nature-loving self, found a job as a recruit for a park ranger. It was only 18 left in the house, but she didn't want to seem to leave anytime soon. The easy life and fun with the girls were enough for the others to want her around. Of course, knowing what was happening inside of the bedroom only got her more worked up. So she planted a spy cam that was integrated into her system and watched every night. She was so eager to join that she asked Goku bluntly. But Goku was fed up with the girls he had already. The three girls, Caulifla, Chi-Chi, and Bulma wanted children again, increasing the family by another 3. He had a headache already with all the commotion that even 18's sexy body didn't persuade him. After all, if she just wanted it to be only benefits, there was no reason for Goku to accept. He already had 4 other girls to please. Come on, Bulma. You can talk to him since I already did. It won't get awkward or anything. It will just be friends with benefits. The toys you gave me aren't cutting it. I want the real thing. All right, calm down, you nympho. I will talk to Goku about it. Just stop moving your hand. Hello, Mr. Sun. I have called you here because of your daughter Bulla. Goku was sitting in the principal's office, and on the other side was a middle-aged man that looked like the recent days have aged him terribly. Bulla was on the chair beside him looking out the window with her arms crossed pouting, like she hasn't done anything wrong. Yes, sir. What did she do this time? Bulla looked at her dad angrily, that he was talking to the principal in a respectful tone, and seemingly took his side as well. She got into a fight with a boy of her age. I am not sure of the specifics, but what I know is that she punched first and gave him multiple bruises. I will have you know that behavior like this is not tolerated, not even to the best performing student in our school. We are looking at a lawsuit if you do not come up with something. Bulla, why did you do it? He didn't really care about the lawsuit, Capsule Corp wiping it, but with gold. But why would his delicate Bulla do such a thing? He was trying to flirt with me. It was so gross, thinking that he was good enough for me. I can basically hear his thoughts that are on me. Bulla scrunched her nose in disgust, while Goku got the general gist of it. Sorry about this, principal. I will make sure to contact the victim's family and thoroughly discipline her at home. After that, they all jumped into the car with Gohan waiting for them in the back. Normally sitting in a car with the sun out was a hazard, but let's be real. Gohan was the hazard for the car from just him sitting in it. Why do we use a car anyways? Can't we just fly back to the house? Dad, you fly around all the time. In fact, I am already smarter than high schoolers. Can't I just go to college and get my degree already? Goku's eyes glinted a strange light. He recognized the underlying attitude in that tone. Bulla, get in the car, and I will tell you something. This is for you to Gohan. Bulla got into the car in a huff and sat next to Gohan, who was looking anxiously at the two. Kids, we are stronger than the people here, but don't forget we aren't above them. When you are older, you can fly around the city if you want, but it doesn't hurt to be in the car once in a while. Have some humility. As for the degree thing, like your mom, not me. Just remember, have some empathy, especially you Bulla. What you did to that kid almost killed him. He didn't do anything that bad. But he dash. No buts. Slap him once to make him stop. Don't fight him like he is Cell or something. Bulla deflated and looked at her hands that she placed over her knees. Gohan comforted her a little on the side. Hey, King Kai. Oh, Goku. You startled me. What do you want? Goku instantly transmitted himself to King Kai's planet in a Swift to ask him to teleport them to meet the Supreme Kai. King Kai was just having a lovely chess match with Gregory before he was startled moving all the pieces around. Can I ask for a favor? No. I want you to teleport us to the Supreme Kai and ask him to train us. The Supreme Kai. How do you know of him? Frisia. Makes sense. Anyway, the answer is no. I can't just waltz in there and brazenly ask the Supreme Kai for you to become disciples. Are you crazy? I have so much to live for. Like my car over there. As they were talking, Gohan and Bulla, who came with Goku to get their potential unlocked, were chasing Bubbles around. The three monkey tails frolicked around and Bubbles had no chance in the chase. Come on Kai buddy old pal. Do me a favor. No. Please. No. Pretty please. No. Why did the generous King Kai help his friend Goku? Why? Because if he did, he would get 2 more vintage cars in mint condition. Deal. Goku scooped up his 2 children, his arms and King Kai, but his hand on Goku's shirt, and warped to the land of the Kais. Halt! What are you doing here, Northern Kai? You don't have permission to— Wait, who is that? You dare bring mortals to the sacred realm. Kibito, the Supreme Kai's attendant, was looking redder than usual when King Kai brought dirty mortals to walk on their godly pastures. WWWW wait Kibito, TT there is a reason. No, I will not listen to your preposterous reasoning. It seems that we need a new North Kai for replacement pronto. Eep! King Kai, scared out of his wits, ran behind Goku at amazing speeds, cowering behind him. You could only see his antennas poke out, revealing that he was still there. What was the point of gaining the cars if I won't be there to enjoy them? King Kai was weeping comically when another person approached from behind Kibito. Wait Kibito, let's hear them out first. Northern King Kai has been doing well with his reports, and has mentioned a special mortal in them. Is this him, King Kai? A short, well-mannered man with purple skin and elf ears appeared. The thing that caught Goku's eyes the most was the elusive Patera earrings hanging off his ears as a decoration. Why yes, Supreme One. This is him. He wanted to meet you for, what was it again? Oh yeah, he wanted to train under you. Train under a Supreme Kai. I see he is as foolish as he is ignorant. No random nobody can just ask the Supreme One if they can train under them. I will be happy to teach you SME of my skills. Supreme Kai. The tall pink man was surprised when Supreme Kai seemingly wanted to lose his dignity teaching these useless mortals anything. I have been watching you ever since North Kai told me about you. I have to say, your fighting prowess is incredible indeed. And it seems Zeno-sama sent that you have come to seek me before I did you the foretold threat that will come soon. Follow me. Goku and the 2 children followed Supreme Kai, while Agape at the scenery before them. The air itself seemed ethereal, and it felt like they were breathing in pure ki. The endless green grass and the sky above them contrasted each other in a way that they did not seem real. As Supreme Kai was leading them away, Kibito watched them go starstruck. King Kai was also left behind feeling a little awkward. So, I will go now. Seeing Kibito didn't respond, King Kai prepared to leave. But he didn't want to leave without teasing the man, knowing that if he retaliates violently, Supreme Kai would not let him off the hook. Sorry, you couldn't do the one job that you had here. You can go back to being useless now. Kibito tried to grab the disappearing Kai, but just grabbed hot air. He looked very vexed and stormed off to do whatever attendants do. Why do you seek my help, Son Goku? From what I have seen, you have quite sufficient power. I'm afraid I won't be able to help much. And that was true. Kaioshin himself was weak compared to the mortal before him. If he really wanted to get stronger, then a trip to the Destroyer's world would be a much more fruitful trip. If he came back, that is. I heard that you have something called the Z-Sword? Ah yes, the Zeta Sword. The Sword of Legend will definitely prove some challenge to you and your offspring. Gohan and Bulla tilted their head curiously at the strange man, while he chuckled a little at the absurdity of it. They walked for a bit before arriving at the place where the sword was embedded. Goku walked up to the sword and prepared to lift it. Before he could, Shin interjected. The Z-Sword is incredibly heavy. I would suggest using that Super Ape form, as you call it. Goku nodded at Shin, indicated that he heard, but proceeded to try and lift the sword. Shin shook his head and speculated that it wouldn't take long before Goku would tire himself out and transform. It is really heavy, but I can't lose to a sword. Such an angle was unfavorable for Goku to pull the sword, but he kept going anyway. 10 seconds passed by and Shin was about to tell Goku to transform again. He couldn't watch Goku struggle for so long. After all of their time is precious. His words were stopped by a faint squeaking sound. Thinking that he misheard, Shin strained his ear to find out where that sound came from. He heard it again, and this time he was about to pinpoint where it was. The Z-Sword. Impossible. The Z-Sword, a sword known to all Kai for its immeasurable weight, started to move closer and closer to freedom. With one last pull, Goku unsheathed the sword from its natural habitat. It was so hard to handle and swing that even with both hands, Goku haphazardly swung it around. The others had to back up, just so they wouldn't get chopped up. It didn't take long for Goku to get used to the weight of the sword and started to make more accurate cuts and swings. Of course, he never trained in the way of the sword and only did swings that he thought looked cool. I'm a cool knight. Take that. Good thing no one could hear his childish thoughts. After spending a good amount of time with the sword, he stopped and threw the sword. It was rotating in the air, looking quite dangerous. Shin let out a yelp at the mishandling of the legend. He couldn't take Goku picking it up with his base form, let alone seeing the precious sword fly through the air. The target location was Gohan, as he was sitting crisscrossed on the floor. He stood up to catch the sword that his father threw at him. Knowing his limits, he powered up to a Super Saiyan and caught it with both of his arms. He held it steady for a second before the weight of the sword came crashing down, bringing Gohan with it. They both face planted on the floor, and Gohan let go, startled that he didn't last long. The two of you share the sword. I want both of you to carry it until you can last a minute. That's easy. In your base form. You just had to talk, you idiot. Wait, Dad. Summer just started. I can't train the entire summer. Then you better get started quickly. Goku didn't have the time to deal with Bulla's complaints and instantly transmitted himself out of there. He knew that he needed to start the god ritual sooner rather than later, but he wasn't ready yet. According to the Saiyan book, a Saiyan would need to perform the ritual every time one would want to become a Super Saiyan god. They would only borrow the godly ki, not store it in their body as a second reserve. Massively different than what Vegeta and Goku had in the series. Goku speculated this was the case because of the exposure of godly ki that they had before becoming gods. The OG Goku compared to himself spent years in the otherworld, King Kai, and Supreme Kai to train before the ritual. His body had time to accumulate the feeling of godly ki inside his body without him knowing it. His body has eventually gained the ability to store divine ki of the smallest amounts. Without training with it, it would stay like that forever. But when he became a god, the influx of divine ki inflated that pea-sized storage into a massive one. Goku, this time knowing what to look for, could feel inside his body strange different ki that wasn't normal. It didn't quite become a storage like what he thought, so he needed to spend more time in divine places. Only then would he activate the ritual and become a true Saiyan god. He teleported back to the house to grab some supplies for the long training session that he was going to do. Grabbing the suitcase in his bedroom, he was going to teleport back. In and out. Man, I am hungry now. That was when Bulma busted open the door. She looked tired, as if she hasn't slept for days. Hugging onto her leg, she was dragging a blonde that just won't quit. Goku, you need to do something about her. Bulma tried to shake her leg, but 18 held firmly. This was the chance she was waiting for. Hanging on to Bulma, even when she tried to use the bathroom, was finally bearing its fruit. Now there is something I could eat.